These days, it can be hard to trust the media. What's true, what's fake, and who is behind the message? I'm a freelance journalist and videographer who has spent years studying the media. Now I'm taking a look at what local, regional, and national news stories mean to us here in North Central Washington. I'm Dominick Bonny, and this is Common Sense. Hello and welcome to Common Sense. I'm Dominick Bonny, and as you can probably hear, I'm sick. It's not COVID-19, it's just a cold, the regular COVID, but as you can hear, my voice is not up to par. So let's go straight into my interview with Pastor Alex Zaytsev, who was born in Ukraine and raised here in the Wenatchee Valley. He's currently in the city of Avdiivka in the Donetsk region of Ukraine, helping hundreds of people find food, clean water, and shelter in that war-torn country. He's going to give us a first-hand look at how the Russian invasion is going and how the Ukrainian people are faring and fighting back.
My name is Alex Zaytsev, and I'm currently in the city of Avdiivka in the Donetsk area of Ukraine.
Okay, so we've been hearing a lot about this Donetsk area of Ukraine. What's it like right now on the ground?
Well, right now on the ground, there's a very large-scale intensification of fighting, sometimes even with weapons that we did not see before. Like, for example, we recently started having aircraft warnings where aircraft are flying in, or some kind of weird sounding explosions, which, well, I've lived here for 6 years, and people have lived here for 8 years, the war, and yeah, we haven't heard anything similar to this, just kind of different sounds.
Right. Yeah, because there has been war going on for about 8 years since Crimea, right?
Yes. Yeah. 2014 and 15 were very hot. Then it calmed down a little bit. 17 was hot for several weeks. There was bombing of the city. But then it kind of scaled down where we heard it, but we didn't have bombs exploding in the city.
Sure.
But now for the last week, we haven't been having bombs exploding in the part of town where there's very tall buildings, but we do hear it, and they're exploding in the part of town where there are houses.
Okay, I see. And so what are people doing to stay safe?
Well, this isn't a new thing for many people. So some people go down to their basements. Some people, they go down to corridors or to the ground floors. Sometimes people just sit in the hallways to make sure that there's like several walls in between them and where the shelling would happen from.
I see. Wow. And how large is this city that you are currently in, roughly?
I'd say about the size of Wenatchee.
Okay, I see. And what brought you to Ukraine? Are you from Ukraine originally, or were you born in the States?
No, I'm originally from Ukraine, but I was 5 years old when I moved to the States with my parents. But I spent 3 summers here in 2011, 2012, and 2013 on Christian mission trips. So I've done Christian ministry here those summers, and then since 2016, I moved here to do ministry with teens here in the church and various humanitarian ministry.
I see. And that's kind of what you're doing right now is you're a Young Life pastor, as I gather?
Yeah, I'm a pastor in the church here. Recently just was ordained, so officially a pastor. And I'm a Young Life leader here, where we gather teens several times a week, do various events with them.
I see.
That kind of thing.
I see. And so as I understand it, and you'll have to excuse me, I'm a little sick, so that's why my voice is a little froggy. But as I understand it, I spoke with your sister via text, and I spoke with Bill via text as well. You're basically providing for some of these Young Life kids who you are pastoring. You're providing them with food and shelter while their parents are fighting the Russians?
Well, sometimes, yes, we do have some kids that come. Since I open up the doors of our church, so every single day we have teens here until curfew, when at 6 p.m. they have to be home. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they do spend the night here in situations when Some of them their grandma was working, so they decided to spend the night here. But most of the time they're spending the days here because schools are out due to the war, and they don't really feel safe at home often, but they do feel safer here because they can be with other people. And our building is actually rather sheltered because we're surrounded by building on all sides, and there's stores on all sides of us. So it's very difficult to actually be hit with anything serious, even if it's a direct hit.
I see.
So the room that I'm in right now is really, really safe.
Okay, I see. And what's the response been like from the Ukrainian people in this Donetsk region that you're in to this invasion?
Well, pretty much it's very similar all over Ukraine, in the cities that have been occupied, because it's not only the Donetsk area now, it's Kiev and Kharkiv and all the big cities. The cities started looking for volunteers to help defend the city, and they have such an influx of people that they don't have enough for people to do. They don't have enough weapons to give out to people, just way too many people. And they've been trying to do anything they can to defend cities, such as they're setting up sandbag blockages on the beaches of Odessa. They're preparing food for volunteers in like various cities. So people have responded very actively to help however they can.
How can folks here in the Wenatchee Valley support the Ukrainian people, and specifically what you're doing? I mean, how I got connected with you was I saw Bill's Facebook post, and he has been basically collecting funds to then send to you, which you can use for supplies for your kids, for your ministry. Is that something that we can direct local people to do as well, or is there a different way that we can help?
Well, basically the two ways that I've had funds given to me, mostly right now through Bill, and then through my sister Olga as well. We have a nonprofit that we have been channeling funds to this area for a while now. But besides me, we also have volunteers in 5 other cities. So Olga mainly focuses on those cities, and Bill has been mainly working with me here in Avdiivka. And then I take the funds that he sends, and I buy food. I buy various, like everything necessary to both make a safe space here where people could come, and also to go and help people with food elsewhere. Because the biggest problem that arose due to this escalation was today, officially, the stores are practically out of food. So you can still buy like chips, you can buy drinks, and you can buy like some of the like luxury like deli meats and like almond milk or coconut milk, but everything else is gone. And right now, it's a very similar situation over Ukraine, where the Russian soldiers who are on our side, it's the separatist soldiers. They're shelling and not allowing any white corridors to be started, so that they would let in Red Cross or let in trucks with food, trucks with medicine, or trucks with fuel. They're not letting anything into the cities. They're basically trying to starve people, and people still do have food for maybe 3 or 5 days, but after that it's going to get pretty rough. I tried to help with the stores that I was able to make, but those will run out soon too.
Wow. So even if you do have the funds, it's a matter of is it even there, these staple foods?
Yeah. And today I was talking to my friend in a city where they do have food in the stores, so he could buy it and bring it to me. He's willing to risk his life, but they don't have fuel in their city, same as us. So he can't fuel his car, and he's like thinking, okay, I can ask other people who might have fuel in their car, can I siphon it off, put it in my car to deliver this? But that's like the last case scenario that he's going to do if he's unable to find fuel anywhere.
Yeah.
So we're looking into all those situations, but it's pretty unsure as of now.
Yeah. Wow. And how are you feeling? Well, my next question was going to be roughly how many people, I guess, are you? You said there's multiple cities. Your sister is also involved in these relief efforts. Between the two of you and Bill, how many people would you say you're serving?
Well, roughly, like I'd have to say several hundred maybe.
Wow.
that we've been able to reach out and help, because it's incredible to see how people are just putting their time to help however they can. Actually, here we used to have a team of 5 people, but one of them, it's a young couple that have a daughter. They left due to safety issue. There's another couple that I worked with very heavily. They had to leave because they were helping evacuate her mom out into safer areas. And I was working with a military chaplain. Her mom lives in Kiev, so it's an elderly woman that's alone while the city's being attacked. So she went to evacuate her mom, and it's quite possible that they would gladly come back, but it's now impossible to return. Wow. The roads are just too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to involve my Young Life kids. I'm trying to involve people from the church. I'm trying to involve somebody to help, but it's not a question of people helping. It's more a question of how, because there's no food.
Right. Yeah. And that's paints a pretty bleak picture for the coming days too. I mean, if there's no incoming food or fuel, that just makes every day harder.
And actually, in addition to that, this is the 9th day that we don't have tap water. Huh. We did get it several times for a couple hours, so no tap water yet. Thankfully, this isn't the first time this has happened, and there are wells in the city that people can go to and get technical water. There's filtration stations in the city that filter water, and they deliver it to various places where people can buy it. Yeah. So it's not a question that we don't have access to water. We can still get it, but it's a process to go and haul it in by buckets or by jars or whatever.
Yeah, and then do you have to boil it?
I actually have a place where I can buy filtered water not far from here.
Okay.
So I go there and I bring it in. So it's good filtered water. But like the one that I get from the well, people that do drink it, they first boil it, then let it chill overnight, and then they do drink it.
I see. Yeah. So, like I said, what's the best, most efficient way, I guess, if somebody's watching this program, which will run next week, and they say, I want to help Alex and Olga and what they're doing, and Bill and what they're doing. What's the best way to do that?
Well, if it's financially, then through Bill or through Olga, they have been the funds that they receive. It's all being sent to me so that I can use it here.
Okay.
Obviously, like if these are people of faith, then prayer is a very, very, very great encouragement. Now, I receive so many messages every day of people saying that we're praying for you. We're do you have any specific prayer requests, or just even share if it's something funny just going on with you that you want us to pray about, and the encouragement, knowing that so many people are praying, it does a great deal.
Yeah, I'm sure. So this is just a big part of my program is fighting back against misinformation and disinformation, especially in the social media sphere. And that's kind of part of why I called my program titled it Common Sense. In the last couple of days, it's taken the fringes, these QAnon people, a couple of days to get their narrative right. But we have even local people who are just straight up saying the entire invasion is a hoax. And even if it's not a hoax, it's because Putin is trying to save children from like sex traffickers or some nonsense like that. As someone who's working to actually serve children in Ukraine, what do you have to say to that?
Well, thankfully, the enemies are not shooting at our city, but I have friends that I know personally in Kharkiv who are helping these families, these kids that were just bombed, and they do send me like very gruesome photos that there's no reason for them to fake it. Yeah. And just seeing the tears in their eyes, it is terrible. And I do understand that Putin and some of the Russian media, they want to create a narrative that they're here to save people. It is not like that at all. They've broken so many promises where they said, we're not going to be shooting at peaceful people. We're not going to be shooting at buildings that people live in. And they are. They say, okay, we want to have talks. And then suddenly they send rockets or planes at the cities, hoping that the army's not prepared for this, since they're thinking, since there's peace talks, they're not going to attack. It's terrible. Very, very dirty warfare. And one of the things that I also do is I do try to battle with misinformation here, because often when our teams come or when I encounter people and they're saying, so Alex, what is the news? I start telling them, okay, I have a friend here. He lives in the city. This is what he said. I have a friend here. This is what he said. Like, but we heard this and this. I said, no, that's totally not true, because I have a friend personally. He sees with his own eyes. It's completely different. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of fake news here that Ukrainian army is giving up, or this mayor gave up this city. This said, no, we need to wait to really receive official information. And even if this information is true, often it's just temporary, where a city is partially occupied and then it's liberated again. So I say that quite possibly second most serious threat and danger here is misinformation, right after the bombings.
Stay tuned after the break for more.
You love to help others. You need a solid career. You can have it all with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take patient vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain medical records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, visit chartercollege.edu, because we work to get you to work.
My job is to educate my client, help them navigate a system that is difficult and complicated. It is my job to tell their story and to convince either a court, a judge, or 12 jurors of the appropriateness of our request. It's the great leveler. It's the only leveler, because the least powerful can gain the remedy they deserve that the law provides for them.
Spring is more than just a time to clean. It's your time to renew, recharge, and spend time with the people you love. At Merry Maids, our cleaning services go beyond the basic services and provide you with a comprehensive clean that will re-energize your home and enhance your life. From everyday routine cleaning or deep cleanings, Merry Maids professional team members can provide you with an unrivaled experience. Call Merry Maids to schedule your cleaning today.
Hello and welcome back. Let's get right back to my interview with Pastor Alex Zaytsev, who is helping folks in the Donetsk region of Ukraine right now.
The day right before they attacked, I actually spent the night here at the church because I didn't know that they might attack. They did. I already started buying food. But a week before that, and every single day from then, it was just either Russia's going to invade this time today or this time today. They found this information out. So it was just such a jumble of information. And then suddenly, just one morning, they attacked everywhere.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was about a week before all of this was brewing.
And you were anticipating it?
I was, yes.
Yeah. What do you think will happen, next? I mean, so we just passed these massive historic sanctions, basically the most unified, the West has ever been towards invasion. Do you think that that's going to work, and what do you think is going to happen next?
Well, I've been hearing a lot of news from friends in Russia that are saying life is basically unbearable. Financially, we're in ruins. So they might be able to hold out for some time, and then people will start rioting, and they will start basically forcing Putin to stop this war. We want an end to the sanctions. That's one thing. And then another thing, right now, there's a huge column of military tech coming from Russia towards Kiev. We have been rather successful, the Ukrainian army, in destroying many of these units of military vehicles and tech. But right now, we got a whole bunch of new drones from Turkey called Bayraktar, which are very successful in destroying these military tech. So what I foresee is there's going to be, besides a large push to not permit the Russian army to invade cities, especially Kiev and Kharkiv, it'll be a large effort to destroy this tech before it reaches the cities. So this, I anticipate success. Because looking at the last 2 days, we have been successful in these steps.
Yeah.
So I anticipate success, and just I personally don't foresee what else Putin can throw at us. Hopefully not atomic warfare. That'll be just horrendous. But other than that, there really is not much else that he can push at us, or any other allies that he can convinced to join in this fight.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think this backfired on him a little bit. This was not the response that I think. Although I'm not sure how you could expect any other response. He wasn't expecting this, and that leads me to my next question, which is in the West here. This is such a great opportunity to talk to somebody who is actually in country in the West. Vladimir Zelensky, your prime minister, is a rock star right now. I mean, he's the darling of social media, of the press. What is the Ukrainian people's, I guess, view of him and what he's doing?
Well, about a little bit over half of the population, when he was elected as president, they were in support of him. But a part of them were doing it kind of jokingly because he was a comedian, and people really hated the previous president we had. Not sure why, but they did. But a lot of people kind of took him as a joke, and they have been taking him as a joke up until a week ago, when he really started doing quite a bit to encourage people, quite a bit to quickly end this war as quickly as possible. And definitely, part of the thanks lays on him and our other politicians, which have been doing incredible work to not allow the mistakes to happen, which could be catastrophic in taking up cities. So now it's definitely much more than half of the Ukrainian population support him.
Yeah. It's very interesting how war brings out these towering personalities. Where 2 weeks ago, who outside of Ukraine and in that region would even know who this guy is, and now he's everybody's favorite resistor. But and kind of the same goes for Putin, and that's close to my last question is. Why do you think that Putin did this, and what do you think the repercussions for him and Russia is going to be? And I really do, when I talk about this stuff, I try and differentiate Putin from the Russian people, because we've actually seen as well sports stars and protesters in Russia being arrested for protesting this war. So I think it's important for us to not assume that the entire country is a monolithic structure and everybody's behind Putin.
No. There's a big difference between Moscow and St. Petersburg and the rest of Russia. The rest of Russia, it can be a country that is rich in natural resources, in oil, in natural gas, it could be a prosperous nation. But due to corruption, people often live in terrible conditions. Often, even like in cities, which they could be prosperous. They're close to very, very good natural resources. People have to go outside to the bathroom. They don't have indoor plumbing. In the 21st century. So people, the majority of people, they have been quiet, and they have been complaining because they understood how it could turn against them, because Putin comes from a family of Soviet workers. He was a Soviet worker himself, where he worked in the not sure which agency, but one of the Soviet agencies.
KGB, I believe, right?
He has continued to work in a very similar way, basically shutting people down just as they begin to peep against him. But the strategy that he used was every single time when he was up for re-election, he invaded some country. 2008, he invaded Georgia, election year. He did the whole thing in Syria for election, and he basically tries to shift the focus from him, that God forbid he's the enemy, onto NATO. NATO is the enemy. America, they're trying to force us to believe the way they believe. Basically, enemies out there somewhere. That's the enemy.
Yeah.
And we should not allow NATO to come even close to us. That would be horrible. And that's the excuse he used with many countries when they.
Yeah. Typical strongman strategy.
Yeah.
You see it throughout history over and over and over again. Consolidating domestic power by creating problems in other countries, foreign problems. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. My last question is always, is there anything that we didn't cover in this interview that you think the people of the Wenatchee Valley, of Washington State, and just anybody watching this episode needs to know about your story and what's happening?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've learned through all of this is that there really is nobody that I can rely on right now. No one person that I can rely on for help. Obviously, when people group together, that's incredible. But I was asked a question saying, Alex, why do you stay there in Avdiivka? And I said, well, it really is my faith, the reason why I'm staying. If it was not for my faith in God, I would have left a long time. What's the point of living through this if not for thinking eternally, or thinking of how I can help people while in the process sharing my faith? So it's incredible how what encouragement God can be in difficult times like this, first of all, and how people that group together, what an incredible job they can do to reach something that no one individual can do.
Yeah, well said. And, I'm definitely praying for you. And I know many other people here in the Wenatchee Valley are. And please let me know if there's any other way. I'm going to put on, at the end of the episode, I'm going to put up Bill and Olga's contact information so people can connect with them and support financially. But, also, like you said, prayers are always welcome as well. So.
And right now, the biggest prayer request I posted on Facebook already, please pray for white corridors to be opened so that food, medicine, access for volunteers to the Red Cross can be opened, for fuel to be able to be delivered to cities which desperately need it.
I put the contact info for Alex's sister Olga, as well as Bill Dooley, who is with Wenatchee Valley Young Life, up there on the screen at the end of the interview. If you would like to support Alex and what he's doing, donating to either of or both of those Venmo accounts is the best way to do that. It gets the money directly to Alex. That's all we have for this episode. Join me next time for an interview with Lorian Clemens, CEO of our local startup Pet Hub, which is doing big things in the pet industry. And we'll check back with Alex if possible in the coming weeks. I'm Dominick Bonny, and I'll see you next time for more Common Sense.